Ales coming right up. Hello, and welcome to the BRB. Please, have a seat. You're just in time for Tavern chatter.
What are the specifications of a Kenku? Can they be ravens? Do they have to be corvids? Do they...
Apparently it's mimicry.
So can we have a parrot Kenku?
By that definition, no. Or
One
yes.
weird pigeon. A real weird fucked up pigeon.
A cockatiel.
For some reason, I vaguely remember them being just blackbirds. I need to actually look at the race, so while you guys debate this, let me be the one to go get the actual definition.
What's the difference between a Kenku and an Aarakocra?
One can fly.
Kenku can't fly.
It was their whole lore thing.
It's an ancient curse.
So, will an Aarakocra, by lore, a bird that can fly is just any bird, is an Aarakocra. Any bird that cannot fly is a Kenku?
So I know that that Kenku were...
Pigeons are kenkus, or penguins are kenkus.
Penguins are Kenkus.
So are ostriches.
So I know that Kenkus were specifically cursed to not be able to form their own words. So Aarakocras are ones that would fall outside of that. Aarakocras would actually have their own speech rather than mimicry.
So you could be a chicken Aarakocra.
In
An
theory,
Aarakocra,
yes.
if you will.
I
would
won't, but in theory, yes, you could have a chicken Aarakocra.
Aarakocra can be essentially any bird. The big thing with Kenku is the fact that their voice was stolen by a curse, and they're, as a result, can only use mimicry.
And
But
their
that applies to the entire race. So if it applies to the entire race, we can't have the multiple diverging Kenkus.
Right.
So there's only one type of Kenku.
Looks like I have you guys set, so it looks like, and this is taken from a page, so it'll come down on me, but it seems they imitate crows. So they are crows themselves, not related to the crows, but they themselves resemble crows.
So lore-wise, you can't have a Kenku that looks nothing like any other bird.
So then if Kenku are crows and Aarakocra can speak their own language, could you have a crow Aarakocra? Or are all crow humanoids born as Kenku?
Like he said, Kenku aren't crows, they just resemble crows.
Right,
So you
so
could still have a crow Aarakocra.
Right. So if
An Aarakocra.
if an Aarakocra is born that resembles a crow, does it become a Kenku by the rules of the curse?
I don't think so, because I think the cursed ones would be their own race.
Like their own bloodline sort of
Yeah.
thing?
It is an interesting topic. I don't necessarily know if they can be crows. I would assume that they could.
I would also assume, just to bring up another question, which might make this go off topic, Owlfolk, or the Owlin,
The Owlin?
versus an Owl Aarakocra.
See, that one's hard too, because it seems like Owlin are actually their own race, separate from Aarakocra completely.
Owls are physically different enough from most types of birds that it would make sense for them to be secluded to their own race, and they shouldn't overlap.
But there are Owl Aarakocra.
There
Yes.
are, or there were,
Are.
before the Owlin came out.
I believe that they still are. And that might be a more homebrew thing for tables.
Because it could very much be just like with normal biology that we have, where we assume that a specific type of creature is within a family, but then we discover later on that they're actually two separate ones that are similar. So it could be a matter of every owl Aarakocra was actually an owlin, we just didn't know it yet.
See, it could be that, or it could fall into the lines of how there are certain types of goblins in the world. Like there are, what are we at now? Maybe 6 different types of goblins? Not including the goblin, variants in their own, subclass race. You have the bugbears. You have the hobgoblins. You have what is the new playable race? The Verdran, which is another version of goblin race. It could just be they're all kind of this conjoined bird race. How much do you know, and this is actually just a question for the people at the table, how much do you know about the lore Faerû, beginning of it all?
We all pale in comparison to you.
That's not a bad thing. My life has been dedicated solely to D&D at this point.
You talked to me about lore both in and out of universe for an entire day a month ago.
Yeah, I can do that. If you let me ramble, I will. So you guys know, originally, and I might be wrong here, if I am wrong, people can go back and they can double check me on this. I think originally there were 5 races when the world was first created and the gods kind of first started to settle. There was the whole battle between gods and primordials and things like that. In that time, there were 5 prime deity races. And in those races, one of them was a strictly bird race.
So there was a foot race, a flying race, a space race. What were the other 2?
It's funny you say that.
A 3-legged
Because
race.
it's actually very accurate with the first 3. Where Yontees came from, the snake. There was a lizard snake primordial race.
So
There was a bird race. There was a frog amphibian race. And then there was like a monkey race that slowly became the humans. And there was the fae and things like that, but they didn't. They went to their own realm.
they saw what we would do and said no thank you.
Yeah, these Aarakocra, I believe Kenku, Owlins, they could just all be descendants of one prime deity race.
Aarakocra, by the way, looks like mostly live in the elemental plane of fire. Or not fire, air.
Wow.
The elemental plane of air.
From like the original lore.
Yeah. I'm not sure where Kenku. I thought Kenku were more...
I believe that they were
Underworldly.
mortal. Actually, yeah, I believe they were on Faerun. I don't believe that they were from a different plane of existence.
So that's another distinction that might be part of what makes them different. I'm not sure where Owlin are from.
Owlin might be from the Fae. I haven't looked into that.
Wouldn't be surprised.
It is. I know it's from the Strixhaven universe, which is actually.
Owlin are from the Feywilds.
Are they from the Fae? Good catch.
So Aarakocra are mostly on the elemental plane of air.
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that they can technically survive without food or water?
No.
Because nothing but air exists on that plane?
No. So
There's more than air.
yeah, there's
Nothing more than earth on the elemental plane of earth.
there isn't actually. There's cities and
Made of earth.
there are other things in existence.
Largely and possibly tall trees.
But no, I mean they're originally Aarakocra weren't even a playable race. They were only in the monster manual, and they were just something for you to fight.
Same with goblins.
Same with goblins
Kobolds.
and goblins. But that list is incredibly long. We are not getting into that one. The
It's
amount
crap that the other guys are called monster races and these ones aren't. That's fucked
I
up.
believe they are.
I believe they are.
Okay, good.
I
'cause
believe
otherwise,
Aarakocra are monster races.
it's dickish to gnolls.
They might be
Hold
exotic.
on. Let me check it for you.
Hold on, they might be exotic.
Who
They
isn't-
are exotic.
They're
Yeah.
exotic, yeah.
Fuck
Sorry.
those races.
I'm sorry.
Racist against gnolls and orcs and goblins.
Who isn't dickish to gnolls, though?
I like
They don't
them.
deserve it.
I like gnolls. I love gnolls. That's not the story that we're doing today. Let's not go that far. I think that a Kenku can only be a blackbird. They can only be a crow.
Crows and
And-
blackbirds are different.
I know. That's why I recorrected myself. I
And
apologize.
for Aarakocra, they cannot be owls.
I think they can.
They can be
They
owls.
can be owls.
It just matters if they're coming from the plane of air or from the Feywild.
Okay, does this also apply to the reptilian races? The snake folk, lizard folk, and I believe the tortoise race.
You know what? That's a great question for next time.
Alright, it's closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon to stay up to date. If you want to see more of us, check out the links to our social media in the description below. If you have any suggestions about our next video, please leave a comment as well.